hope you're doing well. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new here. My name is Muphidaht. I create content on beauty, vlogs, and a sprinkle of fashion. If you are not subscribed yet, I would like you to do so. I'm gonna give you a second to do that. Thank you so much for subscribing. I really appreciate it. Today we are going to be doing a makeup tutorial, OG YouTube style. I'm gonna take you guys through on how to apply makeup and achieve a flawless base and a very simple, timeless look. I'm really excited about today's video because I miss doing these. If you want to see how this video goes down, carry on watching and let's get right into it. Caught me at the right time, baby. Oh. I was at the end. Made me feel like... So we're gonna start off with brows. I'm gonna go in with my Got To Be Ultra Glued. This is the styling gel. Got To Be came out with a brow gel. I'm not sure if you guys have seen it, but yeah, there's a brow gel now. I'm just gonna dip my spoolie into it, just a bit of it, and I'm going to brush the gel through my brow hairs, just to keep my brow hairs up and out of the way. Now that the brow hairs are out of the way, I'm gonna go into sculpting my brows. I find that this is the easiest way to get the brows to look as equal and as sisterly as possible, because you guys know brows are not twins, they are sisters. So we're gonna try as much as we can to get the brows to look similar to each other. So I'm gonna go in with a concealer. This is the Kevyn Aucoin Sensual Skin Enhancer. I typically like to gravitate towards thick concealers for my eyebrows just because they're easier to manipulate. You don't want a very runny, liquidy concealer. It's gonna be very difficult to, you know, manipulate and sculpt the brows right. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So I really like this concealer. It comes in a pot and it's very thick, so it's definitely easy to manipulate this concealer. So I'm gonna go in with my brush. Typically this brush, I've been using it for a while now. This is the Morphe M42 brush. It's just a flat tiny brush, and I'm gonna go in with my concealer. I take a bit of it from the pot and I'm going to spread it out on the top of the cover of the concealer. You can do this behind or at the back of your hand, but I don't want to get messy, and I'm gonna go in and sculpt my brows out. So I start off from the front and then I just keep going in short strokes. If you find it difficult to get your brows right, definitely do the short strokes. Do not do like one swipe. It's gonna mess up, especially if you're a beginner. You want to just take your time. And the concealer is about a shade lighter than my skin tone, so I definitely love that. You can do 2 shades lighter or 3 shades lighter depending on what your preference is, but I definitely love how this concealer looks. It just gives me a really nice natural brow. So I'm going to go ahead and just sculpt this out. So as I get here to the end of the brow, I just avoid this arch and then I go backwards. This is how I create the high arch look on my brows. This is how the brow is looking now. So as soon as you apply, if you use a thick concealer, what you want to do is go in and blend out the product. You don't want to let it sit too long, otherwise the product is going to get cakey. So this is the Real Techniques Deluxe brush. It's just like a fluffy brush. I'm going to go into this. So I'm going to use that to blend out the concealer. Just soft patting motions. So I'm just zooming you guys in so you can see the type of motions I am doing. Just soft patting motions to blend out the product, to absorb the excesses and to keep the product in place. That is the goal, so you have a clean looking brow. So I'm gonna go ahead and sculpt out the other brow. You want to start off from the front so that it kind of looks as equal as possible. I'm gonna keep your finger like this, just to keep your finger stable, especially if you don't have the perfect precision. You just have to, and then just to stabilize your hand, honestly, you don't have to do this. And there you have it, brow is cleaned. So you want to go ahead and buff the concealer out. Again, soft tapping motions. And then your brow should look something like this. My brows are not filled in. I have microblading, that's why they look filled in, but they are really not. So yeah, even if your brows are not microbladed, you literally just have to use your gel or any brow gel you have, like a clear brow gel I suggest, or edge control. I like the Got2b one, so I just brush the brow hairs up and I conceal the bottom of the brows. So we're gonna get into eyeshadow. We are going to create a very simple wearable eyeshadow look. So I'm going to start off with my concealer. You want to use a concealer that is 2 to 3 shades lighter than your actual skin tone to conceal your eyelids. As you can see, my eyelids have a dark look, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I actually really do embrace my dark eyelids. I really like them. There are typically eyeshadow primers on the market, but I don't really like eyeshadow primers. I mean, I don't mind using them, but I prefer to use the concealer to prime my eyelids. So I'm gonna use my Too Faced Born This Way concealer. This is full coverage and it's just an amazing concealer. So this is the shade Warm Sun. This is 3 shades or 4 shades lighter than my actual skin tone. I'm just gonna put a dab of it on my eyelids. You don't want to use too much, so I'm gonna go in with a sponge just to buff it out. I definitely prefer a sponge to do this step because it blends out the concealer and it has a way of picking up the excess product, so you don't have too much concealer sitting on your eyelids. Definitely using too much concealer is going to make your eye makeup break apart because it's just like a thicker layer, and the thicker the layer on your skin, the easier it is to crack. So you're going to use a setting powder. This is from Laura Mercier in the shade Translucent Honey. I'm going to dip my sponge into it and just tap off the excess at the back of my hand, and I'm going to use that to set that area. You want to just push the powder in and it's just going to set the place very, very lightly. Remember, the thicker the layer, the easier it is for the makeup to crack. So yeah, now that the eyelids are primed, as you can see, there's a fresh, even canvas on my eyelids. I'm gonna go in with my eyeshadow brush. I love this eyeshadow brush. It's just a fluffy brush. So many brands have fluffy brushes like this. I have one from CVL Beauty, which is an amazing Ghanaian brand. I have one from Morphe. I have one from Evita Joseph. They're just like really fluffy brushes that I love to use. So I'm gonna use one from CVL Beauty, and I'm gonna go in with my favorite eyeshadow palette, which is the Jackie Aina eyeshadow palette. I love this palette so much because it provides a lot of wearable shades, everyday makeup shades, and it gives you colorful, a pop of color for, like, you know, events and stuff like that. And for my colorful girls, we're gonna go into the shade Credits, just this dark shade here. I'm gonna go in with a fluffy brush. Do not be afraid to use your eyeshadow. Do not be afraid to blend out. Blending is easy. If you make a mistake, you can go on and clean it up. One thing about makeup people don't tell you is you can go back and clean up. It's your face. I'm just gonna dip my brush into it like this, and then I'm going to tap off the excess. Then I'm just going to put it at the outer portions of my eye, just like so. You just want to maintain it here and just keep blending it out. Just keep going back and forth, just like this, just to disperse the color, and it's gonna look something like this. So you're going to do the same to the other eye. Do not let it go above your crease. This is your crease, just keep it in here. So you should have something like this, so it kind of looks smoky already. So you want to go into, with the same brush by the way, and then you want to go into a lighter shade. So I'm going to go into the shade Ginger. If you don't have a ginger, you can use your bronzer because this is an amazing color and it looks like bronzer. I don't know if you guys can see, but yeah, this shade right here is just a light brown shade. Of course, tap off the excess and then you're gonna go above, right above here, above where you blended the dark brown, and then you want to bring it into your nose area, just like so. So into your crease. So you're blending from here above the dark color you put there, and you're going to bring it into your inner corners, just like your nose contour, like so. And you have a nice gradient going, dark color and then it goes lighter. So you're going to do the same. Put your brush into your color, tap off the excess, and you want to go above, not onto your brow area, but like right below your brow bone, and then you're going to blend it into your crease and then bring it in here, just like so. So this is the formula for getting a simple eyeshadow look. So now that you have a color in your crease, you have the smoky effects going on, you can put any color on your eyelid, literally any color, because your eyelid is free. As you can see, it's free. So you can do a matte color or a shimmery color. When a color is matte, it typically doesn't have any shimmer in it. When a color is shimmery, of course it has shimmer in it, right? I'm talking to you guys like you're kids. I'm so sorry, please forgive me. So you can decide to go in with a matte or a shimmer color. I want to use my powder, my face powder, for my eyeshadow today, just because it's a flesh toned color and I want to go for that kind of look. So I'm going in with my flat brush and I'm just going to tap this onto my eyes, just like so. It's gonna look like this. So once your lid color is applied, I typically would go back in with the very dark color that I use. So I'm going back in with this brown and I'm going to use that to line my eyelids. This is tricky, but once you watch this, I'm sure you'll probably be able to pick up and you practice a little bit more. So I'm going in with this brush. It's just the other end of my spoolie. I'm going to dip my brush in here and I'm just going to start lining from my inner corner. It doesn't have to be perfect, guys. As close to your lash line as possible. And it should look like this. It doesn't have to be perfect, guys, because you know. I'm gonna go back in with my dark color, the same dark color, and I'm gonna put that at the outer V, just where we placed that earlier, just to deepen or smoke it out a little bit more. You can leave it as is, but personally I want to have a darker, smokier outer V. So it should look something like this. This is okay, this looks good as well. So you can just stick to keeping your outer V less smoky. So I found something really exciting when I decided to film this video. I know a lot of people have a problem with lash glue and applying lashes, but I feel like this step is going to make it so much easier. I found this Kiss lash glue liner thing. I feel like this is a game changer. I don't know if it's been around for a while, but I really love this idea. It's gonna make lash application so much easier. So what we are going to do is to figure out the lash we want. I personally want to wear these lashes. They are wispy and they kind of fan out at the end. I'm gonna pick out a new pair because I like to repeat eyelashes. because I film a lot. So throwing out eyelashes every time I use it is not realistic for me. It's gonna be expensive. So you see there's an end here and there's an end here. Typically you just want to trim those edges off, just because if you apply your eyelashes, they're going to keep making you uncomfortable. So the first thing you want to do is just pick up just a tiny scissors. These scissors have been with me for so long. You just want to snip off those edges. Okay, so once you snip off the edges, you want to pick up a mirror. I'm just picking this one up, and you want to look down like so. You want to place it down probably close to your chin, and you want to place your eyelash as close to your lash line as possible. By this, you are measuring to see if the length of the eyelash is going to fit the length of your lash line and eyelid. I don't know if it makes sense. Once you see that the eyelashes are probably too long, you want to snip from the end of the eyelash, not from the front. Because if you snip the front part, your eyelash style is gonna look really weird. This part is usually fluffier. So you're going to take your scissors and just snip a little bit off, just to fit your eyelid. So you see the style is still the same, it still looks nice. And you're going to just put this one away. We're gonna do the same to the other eyelash, because obviously you have two eyes and you need a pair, not just one eyelash. I'm gonna pick up my liner, my glue liner from Kiss. I'm going to line my lash line as close to my lash line as possible. This is going to be where the eyelash would sit, and this lash glue dries down so fast. So as soon as you put on your glue, you want to take your eyelash, place your mirror down, and just put it on top of your lash line. And then you now figure out where to place what. So it's gonna look like this. Make sure that the eyelash is seated properly on your eyelid, just like so. You're just going to allow that to rest for a little bit. You have to allow the eyelash to set in the glue before you move it around. I don't know if it makes sense. So. So your lashes should look something like this, just seated comfortably on your lash line. I feel like this eyeliner glue thing, Kiss Lashes, and whichever brand does this might have just done something, because I'm really excited about it. So I'm going to do the same to the other eye. So I'm having a little bit of a problem sticking the ends of these lashes. So what I did was I went in with a tiny bit of glue. Typically this would stick, but I feel like the lash band is probably a little bit too thick. What I did was I went in with a little bit of duo lash glue and I put it at the end of my spoolie, and I just put it at the end. So I'm just waiting for it to get tacky, and I'm gonna stick my lash on it. I told you guys that when you are doing makeup, you make mistakes, so you do what works, and I'm just showing you this because typically a makeup routine or a makeup tutorial would cut out all the mistakes and then make it look like they don't make mistakes. So this is how to fix mistakes. So now the lashes are sticking and everything looks good. So before we go back into the base, we are going to just finish up the eyebrows. The brow gel has dried down, so I'm going in with my brow pencil from Juvia's Place. This is the Isculpt Eye Shade Brow Pencil in the shade Dark Brown. Because we used a spoolie to brush the brow hairs up, they're going to stay up. And to prevent the lash glue from flaking, you want to avoid using a spoolie in your eyebrows again. So you're just going in with your brow pencil and you're going to start off from the beginning of the brow. You know, just outlining the brow. And then to start from the top, you don't want to start from the very beginning as you did from the bottom. You want to start somewhere here and you're going to just follow the shape. So I'm just going to fill in the sparse areas very lightly. So I'm going to do same for this brow. The trick for doing the eyebrow gel before the filling in of the eyebrows is to avoid mixing up or breaking apart the stiffness that you've created with the gel. It messes up the stiffness and it kind of makes the brow gel flake. So you want to avoid doing that at all costs if you use an eyebrow gel. If you didn't use an eyebrow gel, by all means go back in and blend the product out. The thing I find with the brow gel is when you use the brow gel, it's easy to find out the bald spots in your brow, so you just use the pencil to make small flakes in them like I did, so the brow looks natural and full. I hope this makes sense. So now that the eyelashes are settled, what I like to do is to go back in with the end of my spoolie that I used, and I'm just gonna go back in with the dark brown shade. I'm gonna look down in my mirror and I'm gonna put brown eyeshadow as close to my lash line as possible, just to cover up a bit of the lash band. You can definitely skip this step. The eye makeup looks good for the most part. So we are good with the brows and we are good with the eye makeup. So we're gonna move on to the base. So you want to start off with a primer. I prefer the Milk Hydro Grip Primer. This primer is my all-time favorite. So you want to get a good primer and you want to prime your skin. So I am basically just blending the primer into my skin. So my face is tacky, which I love and I want that for my skin. I'm gonna use my foundation. This is a full coverage foundation. If you have blemishes on your skin, you have hyperpigmentation on your skin, you have a few dark spots, a good bargain is to just use a full coverage foundation. I love this one from Huda Beauty, one of my favorite foundations. This is the Huda Beauty Full Filter Foundation and I'm in the shade Cinnamon. I'm gonna go in with 2 squirts this much of foundation. I always have a makeup wipe or a baby wipe with me, some wet wipes, and what I do is to use my finger or a brush to blend out the products, but I just want to warm up the products a bit on my face. So I'm just going to just blend this out slightly on my skin just to be able to get an even base. And I'm gonna go in with my Morphe foundation brush, my Morphe M439 brush, just a dense brush, and I'm going to go ahead and blend this out. Now this foundation dries down matte, soft matte, so you definitely want to blend it out as soon as you apply it, just because you don't want any patches on your skin. When you are doing the eyebrow area, you just want to be very careful. You can just turn your brush like this and blend around the brow area so that you don't mess up. And there you have it. The foundation is evenly blended on the skin. So I went ahead to make my sponge a little bit damp just because it was too dry, and I am picking up any excess products on my skin. Sometimes you might feel like there's no excess, but I find that using a brush to blend and then going back in with a sponge just makes magic happen, and I really love that. So we're gonna move on to applying concealer and highlighting. So I like a bright under eye, so I'm going to show you guys how to do or get a bright under eye. So I typically use 2 concealers. One concealer is close to my skin tone and the other is far away from my skin tone. I am going to apply Warm Sand from Too Faced. I'm going to apply that under my eye. This is to just clean up the eyeshadow bits. I'm gonna apply some onto the bridge of my nose and my forehead. And I like to apply a bit on my mustache area and then my chin. So after I do this, I would typically let the concealer sit down just a bit to, you know, dry down and whatnot. I want this to be as beginner friendly as possible because some people would have concealers that dry down faster than the concealer I'm using. So we're going to go ahead and blend it out. I'm going to use my brightening concealer brush. I really love this stuff. It's from Real Technique. So I'm just going to start off from the areas that I least need concealer. And then I'm gonna do the forehead. Again, you need to be careful around the brows so you don't mess them up. Again, if you mess them up, you can go back in and fix it. Then I'm just gonna do soft tapping motions on the bridge of the nose. And then we're gonna just leave it as is, just like so. And I'm gonna start off with the area under the eye. You should have something like this. Please don't be scared. It looks crazy. We're going to blend everything out. So you're going to go in with the lighter concealer. I'm gonna go in with the e.l.f. Camo concealer. This is the matte one. This matte, as you can see, it's like almost white. You don't have to use a very light concealer just because I'm using one. And also pick and choose the steps that are okay with you. I find that people comment, oh, this is too much, you use too much product, this is not for beginners, blah blah blah. I always say that you should pick and choose what steps you want to choose, what works for you. You don't have to go by this routine. Just pick up techniques that work for you. Like, it's good with me. I'm just showing you guys how to do stuff. Anyway, this is in the shade medium neutral. I'm gonna put that right here. And that's about it. It looks crazy. So we're gonna let this sit and we're going to blend out everywhere else on the face. We're gonna pick up excesses and we're going to blend out the edge of this concealer so it doesn't look as crazy. Now what you're gonna do is to go back in with your brush and you're going to just so you're gonna go in with your sponge and you're going to just blend out the under eye. You're gonna keep it right at the inner corner and you don't use the same parts that you used to blend out the inner corners at the outer corners. So that's you're gonna transfer the product. So you're just going to turn and just blend out the edges. Like so. We're gonna go in and contour. I'm gonna use my stick foundation from Juvia's Place in the shade Sokoto. This is 2 shades darker than me. I don't like going too far when it comes to cream contour. Honestly, I like to call this cream bronze because I heard somewhere that contour is a cooler toned, darker color, but this is typically warm, so cream bronzing, if you will. And I'm going to apply that right here. And that's typically where I like to cream contour. I will put product on my jawline, but I just avoid that area, putting product directly on that area because it gets really hard to blend out. And I'm gonna use my contour brush from Real Techniques and I'm gonna start off blending my hairline. I'm blending the product into my hairline, not very far back, but just so that you have the gradients going. As you can see, the highlights is blending into the contour. So I'm going into my cheekbone area and I'm just going to blend this out, just like so. It might look a little bit harsh, but do not worry about that. And then I'm going to use the remainder of the products on the brush just to go over my jawline area. Very likely we have the shadow there. We're not going to create harsher shadows on the jawline. Moreover, we are going to go in with powder bronzer, so that's gonna work out very well. So I'm going in with my Morphe E62 brush. This is an amazing brush. I'm gonna use that to blend out my nose contour. I'm gonna start off from the ends of my brows, and I'm just gonna drag it down the sides of the bridge of my nose. Earlier, I like to put the contour products like directly on the sides of the bridge of my nose, but learning that it looks a little bit harsh, I like to put it at the beginning parts of my eyebrow area, and I just drag the product down, what's left on my brush, down the sides of the bridge of my nose, because I also go in with powder contour. I know it looks crazy, but yeah, I'm gonna go in with my sponge and I'm gonna pick up any excesses just to soften this up slightly. It should look something like this, not too harsh, right? What I'm gonna do is to go back in with my foundation brush, and I'm going to blend out the edges in between the contour and the highlight concealer so that it blends out and blurs out any harsh lines. I don't know if it's making any sense, but that's what I'm gonna do. I didn't go in with extra foundation, just what's left on my brush, just to blend out any harsh lines. So we have the bright under eye thing going. You can skip this step, but I'm gonna do cream blush. You can do cream blush if you like, don't do cream blush, that's up to you. I'm gonna use my Rare Beauty liquid blush in the shade Love. You see, this is the apple of my cheek, but I'm not gonna bring it down here. So what I'm gonna do is to put it in between my contour and highlight product. So right here. And then how I'm gonna blend it out is to use the same contour brush that I used. I'm gonna buff it upwards, just like so. Don't worry if it looks a little bit harsh, but we're gonna pull things together. Ooh, my battery is dying. I'm gonna just fix it and come back. What we're gonna do right now is to go back in and blend out the under eye area. And then I'm gonna go back in with my foundation brush just to blend in any harsh lines between the blush, the highlights, the contour. So we're gonna move on to setting. I'm gonna chip in or give you guys a tip that I learned recently that has been working for my under eye area. This might not work for everybody, and some people might just be iffy about the new steps, but I like to use a pressed powder to set my under eye before I use the loose powder. And then I like to use this puff I got from Amazon. I will link it down below for you guys. And I'm gonna use my one size medium, one neutral, turn up the base powder. This is a light powder. I'm using a powder that is the same shade as the concealer that I used, the bright under eye concealer that I used. This one. So I'm gonna use that to set that area. Now that we've blended out any creases under the eye, let me just do one last check. I'm gonna go ahead and use my puff, and I'm going to push that into the powder, and I'm gonna go ahead and push that under my eye. I really like this step. It just keeps the under eye area from creasing, and the fact that I'm using this doesn't make it look cakey. And even though my under eye area looks quite ashy, we're gonna figure it out. I'm gonna show you guys how to bring everything together. So now that I have pushed the powder under my eye, I'm gonna go in with my Laura Mercier translucent powder. Now this powder is very light, so I don't want to use that all over my face, like literally where I use my concealer, because it's gonna make that place lighter. And what's the whole point of doing the bright under eye if you're going to make everywhere else lighter? I don't know if it's making any sense. So I'm gonna go in with my Laura Mercier translucent powder, and I'm gonna go ahead and set everywhere else that I applied concealer to. Please don't forget to set the corners of your nose, like it's very important. Definitely do not forget to set your forehead area. So the next step is to set your entire face. Remember, you use liquid products on the face. So I'm gonna set my foundation. I'm gonna set my foundation with a powder that looks like my skin tone so that we prevent the foundation from moving around too much. I'm gonna go ahead and use this brush from Zoeva. This is the Face Finish brush. I love this brush. So I'm just going to lightly set everywhere else on my face just to make sure that the foundation doesn't move around during the day. Definitely avoid the under eye area because you don't want to lose the bright under eye you are trying to create. The next step is to set your contour or bronzer. I'm gonna use my Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush bronzer in the shade Tan 3. I want to use a brush that is gonna focus on that area. It's the Morphe E4 brush, so it just sets right into the area. So I'm going to apply my bronzer and I'm just going to blend upwards. I'm also going to apply that into my hairline. And then I'm going to finally apply product directly onto my jawline, just like so. Also, I'm gonna go back in with the brush that I used to contour my nose. I'm gonna go over my nose contour. I'm gonna start off from the underbrow area just to blend it into my eyeshadow. And then I'm gonna lightly go down the sides of the bridge of my nose. So I'm gonna go ahead and use the powder from the Laura Mercier to clean up. So I'm gonna clean up the sides of the bridge of my nose. And then I'm gonna just clean up the bronzer that we did earlier. And then you're gonna just bring it up like so. And then you're just going to push the remainder of the powder into the smile line area. And then we're going to just clean this up. Going to push that into the skin. So what we're gonna do is go back in with a powder brush. We're not going back in with excess powder or extra powder, just what's on the brush. And we're going to just blend the powder in to the skin. And where you didn't apply powder, just use that to clean up the under eye area. Don't worry if you still have powder sitting in the corners. You can just go in with a fluffy brush. I like my setting brush from Real Techniques. It just goes into all the corners and it just, you know, cleans up the products. I like extra blush, so I applied cream blush earlier, which obviously is still peeking through. I'm gonna use my blush from Juvia's Place. This is the shade Bella. So I'm going in with my blush brush from Real Techniques, and then I'm going to apply that onto the apples of my cheeks upwards. Again, you're applying it in between the contour and the highlights, so there's like it blends into the skin. So I don't know if you can tell the difference. I like to put blush on the tip of my nose. The next step, setting spray from MAC. I didn't forget about the under eye area. What I'm gonna do is to use a dark brown pencil to tightline my eyes. This is typically how I like to. I place the pencil in between my eyelid here, and then I just move back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Just like so. You have your under eye tightline, both the top and the bottom lids. It's just really easy for me to do. Some people say it's scary, but don't push the pencil deep into your eye, obviously. Just leave it at the tip, just here, and then go back and forth. And then you're good to go. So to tie the entire look together, what I like to do is to go in with just a tiny brush. This tiny brush is fine. And I go in with my bronzer. I dip into my bronzer, and what I do is to just smoke out the lower lash line so that the lower lash line isn't left too bare. So now that we've set the face, I use the MAC Fix Plus. I'm gonna go ahead and apply a little bit of mascara. This is the mascara from Nuban Beauty. It's called Sokoto. I love this mascara so much. It's such a beautiful mascara for my lower lash line. Look at what it does to my lower lash line. So we're gonna move on to highlighting. I love the MAC Mineralized Skin Finish in the shade Gold Deposit. I feel like it matches a lot of skin tones and it's just an overall beautiful color. I like to use just a tiny brush like this one to do my nose. I like to do a teardrop type of highlight for my nose. So what I like to do is to dip into the highlighter and then I put just a bit on the tip of my nose, just like so. I avoid putting it all over here. I just put it just right in between my eyes and then I just blend it out. I feel like this looks flattering rather than doing the entire bridge of my nose. So I also like to put a bit of highlighter on my brow bone, just like so. And then I just blend it out with my fingers, just like so. And then I want to put a bit on my Cupid's bow. Love this for me. And then I use my Morphe M451 brush. I just apply this onto, like right onto the high points of my cheekbones. And I use just a little bit and then I blend it out. What people do is you just swipe it and you see like a line, literally. So you just want to blend it in like so. And whenever you turn, you have that soft glow and not like a streak, literally. So you just put your brush, like literally dip it in here, and then you see the way I'm putting it on, and then I begin to blend it out, just like so. What I would typically do is to go in with my Fenty Beauty Stunner Lip Paints in the shade Unveil. I just feel like it makes my nude lip blend in better and you don't have that harsh line around your lips. It's literally a very soft brown. And I'm gonna use a dark brown lip liner, Juvia's Place in the shade Cola. I'm gonna just go over the perimeter of my lips. So what I like to do is to slightly overline my Cupid's bow. Just like so. And then I'm going to follow the shape of my lip. And then overline the bottom here. So I'm going to shade in here. So the lip should look something like this. So I typically just overline the top part and the bottom bit, and that's about it. So I'm gonna put the Huda Beauty Bullet Lipstick in the shade Board Meeting. My favorite lip. It's just like very cool tone matte lip color. I'm just gonna go in with the Alma Beauty Bullet Lipstick as well. It's also very nude. Yeah. I was gonna go over with a gloss, but I feel like I just want to leave it like this because it looks pretty cool. Okay guys, so this is the end of the video. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed filming this OG YouTube makeup tutorial. I'm so happy and I hope I got detailed enough for you guys. I'll definitely be pushing more videos like this out there because I know there's so many of you who still want to learn how to do your makeup, who want to learn how to perfect your steps, who want to get your base right, who want to get your face So yeah, I definitely enjoyed creating this. Every product that I used would be listed down below. Please like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel if you have not already. And thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I just want you guys to just get in here. The base is sitting. I really enjoyed creating this look and putting you guys on to really good tips that I've learned over the few months that I've been addicted to TikTok. Thanks again for hanging out with me today. I'll see you guys in my next one. Take care, guys.